Well, hello, vinyl community, and welcome back to the channel. David Bianco with you here from Sweden. It's been 2 weeks or so now, and I've gone through several record stores in Stockholm and Örebro, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of what I've found. That's coming up next on our Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. Well, coming from Texas, I certainly got my share of cold weather now that I'm here. It's been in the 40s pretty much here in Sweden, and we even had a little bit of snow, which was really pretty to see. Didn't last very long and didn't stick, of course, but it was nice to have it in the air because there just is that certain quietness and, that sound of snow. It's just lightly going down and you feel like, wow, this is just the beginning of a new season. And it is. It was the first time they'd had any snow in Stockholm. But prior to that, I came into Örebro, which is where one of our facilities is located here for the company I'm working for. And there's a great store here called Banana Moon. And I've been there many, many times. It changed owners about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's been a stalwart of finding great records if you take the time to hunt. Matter of fact, this is the store where I found the Led Zeppelin II RL in VG Plus condition for €40, which is just around $40, just a tad over $40 with the exchange rate. So you never know what you're going to find when you're here. One of my objectives on this trip was to pick up some European copies, which were country of origins, of releases that are coming out on the Analog Productions Atlantic 75th series. So one I picked up early on at Banana Moon was, in fact, this copy of Phil Collins' Hello, I Must Be Going. So this will be one that I'll be able to use for my shootout. Another Phil Collins I found was a 12-inch 45 RPM of Another Day in Paradise. That's just, I collect the 12-inch ones because they sound so darn good. And let me just tell you the prices on those, because I think that's, so the Phil Collins album was, it was about $7, and the 12-inch was about $8, so it was a little more. This one here was around $13 or $14, Journeys Raised on Radio. I wanted to have a copy of this to compare to. I have a Japanese and a US on this one, so I wanted to see what the European version sounded like on that. And again, that was in the $13 range. One that's kind of hard to find in the U.S., actually, Jeff Lynne and his Armchair Theater. I've got a sealed copy of this that's white vinyl, which was a limited release. It's worth quite a bit. And I did get one a few years ago when I came here. But you'll see these a little more prevalently in the stores compared to the United States. And this went for about $18 US. A favorite of mine, this is a UK release, Paul Carrick's Groove Approved. This is a really good album. It's got some blues, it's got some rockin' blues, it's got some straight out rock, and this one went for about $10. And this is a UK release. This one went for about $6. This is the Hooters, and this particular album has on it And We Danced and All You Zombies, 2 great songs. And again, I picked this one up. This is the Nervous Night album. I picked this up because the recording is so good in the U.S. I just wanted to compare it to one from Europe, and that's what I'm going to do when I get back. Picked up a couple of records for one of my great friends that I've met through the vinyl community, Vinyl Rush Brad. And he specifically wanted me to look for a very specific copy of Moving Pictures. He wanted one that was done in the Netherlands and had a stamp on it that it was mastered by RL or Bob Ludwig, Robert Ludwig. And darn it, if I didn't find one at Banana Moon, really, really clean. And it was about $37 US, which was a pretty good deal for eyes on, able to check it out, and it definitely matches everything that he wanted. So it's always nice to be able to help out friends in the vinyl community on these international trips. And I also found him, and this is probably one of his favorite albums of all, I think his favorite Led Zeppelin, is Led Zeppelin 3, and this is a German pressing. And it's very clean, and it was, let's see, about $27 US. So good deal on that as well. So that's what I found at Banana Moon when my first arrival. I came in, and those were the ones that I found at first. The other store that's in Örebro is called Örebro Records and Stuff. Quite a title. Really nice shop owner there, as there is at Banana Moon, of course, and a lot of selection. And so what I found was, first I found a very nice, clean Tracy Chapman. Highly sought after record, never been reissued, is a little bit pricey usually. This was 250 SEK, or crowns, which comes out to about 23 US dollars. Really got a nice deal on that record. Got a UK original press for 180 SEK, or about $16, of Tears for Fears, The Seeds of Love. That was one that wasn't on my list to expect to find, but there it was, so I snatched it. Thought that was a pretty good price, knowing what others have had to pay. Guilty Pleasure, Duran Duran, The Union of the Snake. This was about $7, 80 SEK. A few of these 12-inch 45s. It's Something About You by Level 42. And this was about $2.50, 30 SEK. So that was a good deal. This one I picked up specifically for George Borden. It's a 12-inch of Foreigner's I Want to Know What Love Is. I know George loves that song. I may even gift it to him. No, I don't think I'll do that. He'll probably use it as a Frisbee. But anyway, that was all of $7, or as George would say, $7 down to tubes. Kyrie Eleison by Mr. Mister is a 12-inch. Love this song. Love the Welcome to the World album that they did. Welcome to the New World, I think it's called, actually. A lot of good songs on that, but Kyrie Eleison, one of my favorite, and that's the 12-inch. What did I pay for that one? Let's see. He may gave me that one. The Best of UFO, this was about $10. I like UFO a lot. I've never seen a best of from them, so I thought I'd grab that. For the Atlantic Shootout, I got a UK OG of Foreigner's first album. This was about $13 US. These are all VG Plus condition, by the way, at least on these. About $5. This was one with hype stickers, the Grassroots Move Along. Now, this album is one that you'll probably see in the lower dollar bins, but, you know, it's really a good album. You can see some of the hits that were on there. Let's see what it says here. Two Divided by Love, Glory Bound, and The Runway. This was really the last gasp, I guess I would say, of the Grassroots, called Move Along. Good album. Guilty Pleasure, Debbie Gibson, Out of the Blue. It was about $6, and it sealed, which was kind of nice. It was a cutout. Couldn't pass it up. Has the hype sticker on it, so pick that up. A Netherlands version of The Wall by Pink Floyd, about $22. Definitely want to see what that sounds like against all the other pressings. About $4 US, Paul Carrick's One Good Reason. Another one of those albums that it's hard to find in the US. This is the UK release. I've got several pressings. I know I even got one from South Africa because I couldn't find it in the US at all. But I couldn't pass this up for that cheap to get one. Also one that was about $5 US was Carla Bonoff's Restless Nights. Don't have any non-US presses of hers, so I thought I would take a listen and see how it sounds compared to the US. This is a UK version of Thriller, Michael Jackson. This was a first pressing, and I'm just really curious. It's got the hype sticker on there, but this was a one where, you know, on the cover it doesn't have co-producer credits to him, and I'm really just curious how this is going to sound. This album I got for one reason. The band Pilot, they only really had one hit, It's Magic. Remember that song? Well, this was actually produced and engineered by Alan Parsons. And I listened to a few of the other tunes, and they sounded really good. And I'm just really curious what his involvement with them was, and how they grabbed onto him, being the high profile that he was. So just kind of an interesting record. This was about $6. A nice $8 one is Wilson Phillips. This is hard to find in the U.S. actually. And it also came with a press release. A press release from the label. And it also has an article attached to it, which talks about Wilson Phillips. Let's see if I can get it open to the right page. It's a 4-page release here, and it's got, you know, an article as well in it. So just something interesting, different, and again, one that's not that easy to find in the U.S. My buddy Armando at Vintage Mio found one for me, so I do have a copy. But this is a pressing that looks like it's just a general European pressing. Very best of ELO. This was about $14. Double album. I think this is the one that maybe they pressed in the U.S. that was on colored vinyl, but that was a little noisy, so I wanted to get one that was cleaner. And this one comes out of, let's see, it looks like it might be coming out of Germany. And last, I got But Seriously by Phil Collins for around $4.50. No, that's not something coming out of Phil's nose. That's the price tag. So it was 50 SEK, which is about $4.50, something like that. I had mistakenly thought this was on the AP 45 list, but I guess 75 list, excuse me. Well, it's a 45 RPM, 75th, but this one is not. But I do like this album quite a bit, and this is a German pressing of that. So no love lost on Phil Collins. So off to Stockholm I went and got a chance to check out a few stores there. It actually was on a Sunday, so there were some limits on the stores I could go to who was actually open. The first one is near a train and bus station called Slussen, where it seems like they've been doing construction for about 10 years at least. And this is kind of a little out-of-the-way place, not on the main thoroughfare, called Vinyl Records. Very interesting title, not too creative, but yet gets the job done. Now, the interesting thing about this store is it is very cramped, very narrow. Two people can't walk across each other. You got to move out of the way to let someone get through. So a lot of things are stuffed, and everything is half off. And it's been that way for a while. And it really isn't as much, I don't think, that everything's hugely overpriced. I think he's just trying to keep his inventory turned because he has a back room actually, and that back room I went into years ago before COVID, and he had quite a bit back there, but he can't even let people in there. There's so much right now. So I asked him about that. So he's trying to clear out as much as he can. So what did I find? Well, I found one I'm looking for the Atlantic 75th, and this is a UK OG of Running with the Pack by Bad Company. So that'll be a good one to use for those shootouts. I got a nice, I think this is just a European Netherlands copy of Anita Baker. And let's see, so half off, this one was around $8. The Runner with the Pack was around $6, believe it or not. And then I got a couple of 12 inchers. I got a Stevie Nicks I Can't Wait 12-inch single, and that was $4. And I got Leave It from 90125 by Yes, and this was around $2. Also got a couple that he just had hanging out there. He said just take them. One was Agnetha, who was from ABBA, the blonde gal from ABBA. And I got a foreign version of, looks like European, of Xanadu soundtrack. So those are the ones that I picked up at Vinyl Records. Now we come to the store that is right now my favorite store in Stockholm. It's one that I had a lot of trouble finding on several of my trips many years ago. The GPS would tell you to go to this location on a street, and there was nothing there like the place that it said. And so it took quite a bit of work to end up finding it, which was a little peculiar in and of itself. And then when I did find it, the exterior of it really didn't look like a record store, because it really isn't a record store in and of itself. It's a secondhand shop that sells records, secondhand records as well. And as it turns out, the gentleman who owns the place and his wife both have two loves and passions, hers being the trinkets and his being the records. And so they bring it together to this place called An Ideal for Living. Sounds like Joy Division, doesn't it? And it is. That's where they got the title. So this is called An Ideal for Living Stockholm AB. And it's a very, very interesting store. There's records on the upstairs floor, which is the main place where you would go through the bins looking for records. I found some amazing ones there. And they also have a downstairs. So you go down these stairs to go down, and all of a sudden you're met with just streams and streams of milk crates of records everywhere, well organized into different genres. And people are down there digging literally through these crates to find some kind of grail or something that wasn't upstairs. So it's a unique place, and I really recommend, if you're ever in Stockholm, to check it out. So what did I get there this time? Well, I got Crime of the Century by Supertramp. Okay. And this is the mobile fidelity. Now, I have the UHQR of this, which is the more premier version, but I've never had the basic one that came out through MoFi, and so I really wanted to compare it. And this was a reasonable price. It was 600 SEK, which is around $55, in immaculate shape. And condition, I might add. Shape being round, condition being probably VG+. Here's a Cosmos Factory. This was around about $10. And this one's a little unique. It's Swedish, but the label here is Liberty Records, not the usual fantasy records. So I had to pick that one up. Definitely one of my favorite albums ever, Cosmos Factory by Creedence Clearwater. So we'll see how that one sounds. That's a Scandinavian original release on Liberty Records. They did have later releases on Fantasy, the brownish label Fantasy. Got a UK version here of Talking Heads Stop Making Sense. And this was around $12. And this is a UK. And it's a DMM, so direct metal mastering. So I wanted to compare that with my US original. Again, I did a video on Stop Making Sense, the movie. Another Talking Heads LP for about $8 was Naked. Got that one. These two were in the downstairs bins that I had to sift through. I got and this was odd to find in a record store, honestly. 2007 pressing of Aqualung on Classic Records, as you can see. And this was 500 SEK, which is around $46, $47. So that I thought was a really good deal. Want to compare that to my OG, compare it to the Analog Productions as well. I got I think this is a Canadian press. Yes, a Canadian press of Fragile by Yes. This was 100 SEK, which is around $8. Want to have this in my shootout. I had to add another version into my shootout. Steely Dan Gaucho. This is the Master File series that came out of Canada. And saw this one in the U.S. recently for $50, and then it was gone the next time I went there. But this one was 400 SEK, which is around $37. So got it a little bit cheaper. I'm going to use that in my shootout when the Analog Production comes out, of course. Then we have the Royal Scam here by Steely Dan, 250 SEK, which is around $22. And this pressing looks to be... Well, let's take a look real quick. Well, this is it. Oh, this is the UK. It says made in the UK. So this is, again, going to be one that I will use comparing the Analog Productions one when it comes out, which is, I think this is probably the last record that's going to come out of that Steely Dan series in midsummer of next year. And then I went outside, and they have, you know, they have crates of records outside. And as I was leaving, the owner was heading out for probably a coffee or something. And I had just bought all these records, of course. And she just, oh, take some, take two, take three, just take some, get those, take those. And these were, so I got Why Can't This Be Love by Van Halen, a 12-inch of that one. I got Frida, Something Going On. This was the brunette from ABBA. Got Julian Lennon, Velat. And Best of the Foundations. You know, they had hits like Build Me Up Buttercup, Baby Now That I've Found You. Those particular, Back on My Feet Again. So got that. And lastly, I got Power Station 33 1/3. Grab those out of the outside bins. And these are all in, you know, VG Plus or better condition. These are no slouches at all. So very nice couple. If you're ever in Sweden, give yourself some time to visit an Ideal for Living in Stockholm. It really has a lot of really good choice records upstairs. And then when you get downstairs, it's really a cornucopia of selections down there. Just got to have some time on your hands because there is a lot to go through. A lot of heavy metal, a lot of punk, a lot of rock, a lot of pop, a lot of jazz. I mean, you know, there's just anything you want there. You're going to find something among all of those records, I'm sure. And I really do enjoy the atmosphere and the way that they put things together there. And the prices are reasonable, very reasonable. And they gave me a little bit of a discount on the total for what I was buying. So it was a good time. I saw a Beatles mono box there, believe it or not. Just as I was standing there to pay for things, I looked over and there was a Beatles box. And the guy said, yeah, it's a bit expensive, 14,000 SEK, which is about $1,270, somewhere in there. It fluctuates with the rate of exchange. but I didn't have time to really check it out. I'm not sure if they ship. I'm going to try to go back there here when I get back to Stockholm Thursday of this coming week and just see. But I certainly can't carry it with me, that's for sure. So if they ship, maybe I'll end up with a mono box before it's all said and done. Or my buddy Brad's really looking for one, so maybe he's going to be the guy to get that. We'll see how it goes. So I had to do a week's worth of work in Stockholm. You know, I've got to make some kind of money in order to pay for all this vinyl. So I've come back to Örebro after the week in Stockholm and stopped by Banana Moon on the way to the hotel because I knew they had some short hours on Saturday, closed on Sunday, and I didn't know if I'd have time over the next few days to get there. Went down in some of their lower racks to look for things, and I found, speaking of the Beatles, a Beatles, what they call a club edition. This is called the Beatles Golden Greatest Hits. You see they got like director's chairs for the four lads. And this was called a club edition. Let's see if you can see that there. Club edition in the corner. It was on Parlophone, though, so that was cool. It came out in 1979. And the track listing's a little bit odd, just a cornucopia of songs. Side 1 has Twist and Shout, Obla Dee Obla Da, Ticket to Ride, Let It Be, Paperback Writer, Penny Lane, Day Tripper, and All You Need Is Love. Side 2 is Help, Lady Madonna, Yesterday, We Can Work It Out, Hey Jude, and then 3 songs from the beginning of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, with a little help from my friends, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And these are all true stereo, including Penny Lane. So this was a good find, a very different kind of compilation. I think it was about $12 US. And then as I was getting ready to leave, I saw they had a section of records that were heavily discounted. And they were basically 20 SEK each, which is about $1.75. So I got a Gloria Estefan album, which has several of her hits on here. Anything for You is the name of the album. I got a record that I've had for years, but mine's kind of worn out, and this one's sealed. Chart Stoppers. It's like a greatest hits collection compilation, like a K-Tel kind of thing. But it's got a lot of things that are different from the normal, and I really found it to be a good listen. Wore mine out pretty badly, so that's why I got that. A band that I really enjoyed from the 60s, the New Colony Six. They were from the Chicago area where I grew up, so heard a lot of their songs, and very rare to find one of their records in a foreign country. And last but not least, Guilty Pleasure, Tracy Ullman. Now, this lady is crazy. She's a great comedian, a great actress. She can do all sorts of dialects and accents, and she is a pop singer. She really does some fun pop songs. She kind of sounds like Cyndi Lauper before there was Cyndi Lauper. So these were really inexpensive to just pick up here at the end. And so that is what I've gathered so far. Maybe I'll do some more shopping. Got to see how my time goes. But as always, I thank you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please click on the link below and the all option. If you would do a thumbs up, that helps the algorithm, and like this video. And comments are always welcome. Love getting those and responding. So until I catch you next time, I thank you for joining me here on our Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. Take care, everybody, from Sweden.